No, I think we're fine.
Okay.
I think we're fine. Yeah. So welcome everybody. Welcome to we're now recording, by the way. Okay, this is the now 6th episode of the Include with Xclude podcast. Welcome y'all. Grab a drink, grab whatever. The guest to my right of me is a DJ, like almost everybody else who have gone on so far. He has a heart of gold. He's been in the game for a little while. He's got many records. And definitely has a rhythm and an ear for all things house, techno, acid house, whatever. But he carries himself with a humbleness that I admire, and I wish him all the best throughout his journeys, wherever that happened to be, wherever that may be. Ladies and gentlemen, I bring you Kalin Genchev. Am I pronouncing your name correctly?
Yes,
okay.
you are. Thank you very much.
Gotcha.
Thank you for the
Always
kind words.
trying to make that that point, because if I feel like a mess, I feel like kind of like everything else goes to shambles to a degree. But hey, welcome. Glad you made some
Thank you.
time.
Thank you for the honor.
Yeah. We're at your house, by the way. You're at your little place. You got your just to kind of set the scene here. We have the TV playing, Sorrel, Lee Fanky going off on the battleship. We got a set of DJM. Well, we have a mixer here, Pioneer DJM 700, complete with CDJs. Some records there. We have the kitchen right nearby. Upstairs floor. It's all very compact, of course, because we live in the city. And we're having some beers, and we're just talking smack, really, essentially, and going down memory lane and like what's going on now.
All right.
So, first question being your age. You're 35 now, right?
Almost.
You get it. You
Yeah,
get okay.
I-
We'll say you're 34. We'll say you're 34.
I got
It's
less
6
than
o'clock.
a month going.
That's
Actually,
I'm
less than a month.
yeah, and I'm 28, so it's like after we have a bit more of the musical kind of like background. I know history more than me. I've only been like DJing for like 3 years, give or take. In in retrospect to all the other DJs that I know, DJ producer, I'm young in the game, and that's I'm perfectly fine with that. You just gotta keep moving up,
Yeah,
I
you gotta
guess,
start
and just
from
keep playing,
somewhere.
just have fun. Gotta start somewhere.
Yeah.
But where were you born?
So I come from Bulgaria, which is in southeastern Europe, and it was a nice little country. So I was born in '84, and as you said, communism fell around '89.
Gotcha.
So
Now,
it was a
what was it like going back? What was it like growing up around there at that time?
it was a lot of change, technically, because you went from calling everybody comrade to like Mr. and Mrs. and all that, and that
Wow.
that was what I remember most prominently. I had to call the lady at the kindergarten instead of comrade. I had to call her Miss now. So,
Whoa,
yes,
comrade.
yes.
Imagine that filling out an application now, like a Mr. Mrs. How
Yeah,
do we address
comrade.
you, comrade?
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
comrade.
that's a thing.
Yeah. So that was the biggest thing that I remember when it all changed up, and then it was all changed, and that's when the music came, like from the West,
Okay.
actually, because things opened up. Before that, before the Iron Curtain fell, the music was, very like rock. You had to sneak in and like get the records and all that. But then, like MTV came in, and like you had the radio stations, and they were playing Western music, music from the West, pop and all that, and then rap and stuff.
Was there ever like a homegrown kind of scene, as far as like being influenced by that Western culture?
There was like rock bands.
Okay.
Rock bands, and then right in the beginning of the 90s, hip hop band, like hip hop rappers
Yeah.
became a thing.
Yeah, like
And then-
LL and I guess like NWA.
Yes, and then some Bulgarian people picked that up, so they had like the first wave of like Bulgarian hip hop, which I listened to for a little bit.
Whenever I hear like foreign rap, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's like, but it's still foreign in that sense because they're saying, I would like to like meaningful stuff on a different language. I think that's cool. Don't get me wrong, but it's like it just feels like rhythmically kind of different. I respect that though. I
Oh,
respect that. That's still coming
it's
along.
weird, yeah. And nowadays they all copy whatever happens in the
Yeah, I
in
guess.
America, but back in the day they didn't have that much material to copy from,
Hmm.
so it was a little bit different.
I was like trying to get well, I would like to think there were record shops around, and or
Well,
maybe you got it from a buddy, like whatever kind of
so
record you were trying to find.
for me personally, it was radio, like recording from the radio on tapes, and very rarely you will find like a CD or a tape because I didn't have a CD player until I was like probably 15, 16.
Gotcha.
So it was everything on tapes.
Yeah, no, that's
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. So
What getting those tapes? Well, did you actually make your own kind of
yes,
mixes
yes,
down the line?
yes.
Going a
We
little bit
did.
ahead.
No, yeah. We with my friend that we all started listening to electronic music. It was this one radio show which was on every Tuesday at 10 p.m. So I'll be in my house, he'll be in his house, and we'll
Mhm.
both have a tape loaded up. So we will record the show
Gotcha.
and then get together and cut off, make a mixtape
Yeah.
from those, from that show. And that's how we actually got the music. And, we'll cut up different songs from the whole
Right.
show. Cut up the guy talking and especially like presenting what the record
Right.
label was sold
Right.
and all that. And then it was more of an also educational because the guy that had that radio show, he was studying in Greece. He was like an older, like he was in past college,
Hmm.
and so he lived in Greece before, so he had access to record shops
Gotcha.
and like he knew about the New York house music and all that. So that's how I got my initial education
Gotcha.
into that piece of
That's so nice.
music.
That's I'm trying to think of the word. That's very like I guess organic because you're getting something from elsewhere in Europe, in Greece, and then he shows you
through
you know,
the radio
yeah
show.
through the radio show.
Yeah.
Electronic music that's been pumping out in the U.S. and I like how that again it's very organic and you see kind of like the world kind of revolving,
Yeah.
especially during the
Yeah.
fall of the Iron Curtain and everything else, everything kind of slowly coming, I guess, together. But
Yeah,
I guess
yeah.
during the time it was kind of like we were kind of not so sure how this is going to end up, but it was like, okay, let's just see what happens a day at a time.
Yeah, that definitely. And I just gotta tell you, I was born in a small town. Like it wasn't a big city,
Yeah.
so even getting music in that small town was even more challenging than, say, like in the biggest, like the capital or like
Gotcha.
more populous cities around.
So I'm guessing you would sometimes you most likely have to travel quite a ways to maybe get something or even
Yeah,
meet somebody,
yeah.
for whatever.
Yeah, definitely. Not far away, like.
Okay.
Well, it was far away for me and also, just to pose up against the United States standards of what constitutes far away, but like 50 miles was far away.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I
And
understand.
especially for somebody that was like 13, 14,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
getting permission from your mom to go on the train and go to another town to get music, that wasn't like easy.
I would imagine. Like riding your bike 15 miles is kind of a stretch at 15.
Yeah. I
You know,
mean, like,
if
we were on
somebody
the
had to
train,
do
but
that
yeah,
back then.
yeah.
So high school radio, you're
Yes.
making those mixtapes just as well, and you were listening to radio, but you had your own little radio broadcast for high school. Explain that.
Yes, yeah. So with my friend that we started listening to electronic music, we got into the school parliament actually, like the student government
Mhm.
governing, whatever that was called, and so we took part in the radio organization there, and so every Friday we will have between the classes because we'll have like bigger breaks
Okay.
like 10 minutes or 20 minutes,
Mhm.
we'll have those mixtapes lined up. So
Gotcha.
we can go in that little room right next to where the principal was and just load up the mixes and play them through the sound system of the school. It wasn't a radio, like a regular
Okay.
airwave radio,
Yeah.
but that's what it was called.
Was it kind of like
Yeah.
a PA?
Yeah,
Okay.
the school
Okay.
PA.
Yeah.
the
Gotcha,
school
gotcha,
PA,
gotcha.
but it was called the radio back there,
I understand.
So, yeah, we will blast like, whatever we could get our hands on. genre. It was all like either house, techno, whatever the guy played actually that
Yeah.
previous week.
Was whether like teachers and like the staff supportive of it, like keep it going, or were they like, what is this?
So yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, what is this music? Like that. That was the looks that we were getting from the principal and the teachers, and also the music teacher. She hated our guts. That lady.
It's still music regardless. It's still
Yes.
music, so it's like
Not to her.
not to, okay.
Yeah. We were labeled like sonically deaf to her. Like like that lady that was the music teacher. We
Yeah.
had classes with her, and she
Mhm.
was like, "You will never become musicians and stuff like that." And I'm like, "Okay, lady, whatever you say."
Going through high school, did you ever have like that feeling of like where you are today as a DJ, or like did you want to grow up as one, or like did you have other kind of plans, or like
I wanted to do this, but my parents didn't want me to do this. So my mom was always say, "You're never gonna be a DJ."
very kind of
Yeah.
conservative
Yeah,
magic background?
yes. But they wanted me to get come over here and get a good education.
I understand.
So, just make a good living. And so I can't be mad at her about that.
Gotcha. And
Where I'm at right now, it's because of their drive to get me a better life.
right. And it's like I can imagine like another thing too. I forgot to mention. This is like an open kind of conversation, so it's like if you got questions for me, let her rip. But for my background,
Yeah.
it's like I became a DJ just because like I was going out. I've said this before, but I'll say it again. No
No,
problem.
let me know. I actually don't know that.
No, it's
Yeah.
fine because like I grew up. I grew up listening like to at the time like I think this was like 06, 09, I think it was like, I don't know, 2008, 2009. Just out of high school, and all you hear on the radio was like hip hop, primarily like Power 99, DJ Diamond Cuts, playing whatever. I guess like Cassidy, I'm a Hustler. That was a big hit. A couple remixes that came after that. Busta Rhymes,
Okay, yeah, this one I know.
Dipset, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And then that was what I had an ear for primarily. And then later on in life, I was starting to like define myself and to go out nearby 13th Street in the neighborhood just as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Over here?
Yeah, exactly. Like Woody's,
Woody's.
Warrior,
Yeah. Oh, okay.
and Eye Candy. And I was going out. And sometimes like I would go to Eye Candy and then Woody's and then call it a night. But sometimes I would go to all three. To Warrior, to Woody's, to Eye Candy in whatever order. Maybe I think even the piano bar too, but on Carmack. But regardless, started going out and started to hear EDM, Calvin Harris, Rihanna, Avicii,
Okay. Yeah. Well.
stuff like that, more poppy kind of stuff. And don't get me wrong, I had great nights going there, and but it kind of got a little redundant, and so I was hearing it all the time.
A little bit cheesier.
A little bit, yeah, a bit easier. And so I was like, I'm here also the time, so I was like, maybe kind of venture out and see what else I can find from these artists. And from the artists that got rotation, I noticed they had other good tracks that were good. I was like, why aren't these DJs who I'm hearing at these clubs that when I'm going out, why aren't they playing them?
Yeah.
I was like, I began to purchase those tracks. And then, sometime after that, I met DJ Biz, who helped me out. And then from there, I started traveling, like I'm trying to think back, maybe like 2012 or like 2013, 2014. I forget the time period, but it's like a couple years after that, started to go out like to Amsterdam. And
Oh, okay.
And then
All
from
right.
there, Germany, and then from there,
Oh,
London.
so you've been back there for a while. I knew you went there, like in Berlin recently, but I didn't know you've been back.
But
a few
yeah, but
times.
it was like I've been to Germany twice, London once, and Amsterdam once, each for like a stretch of like a week.
Okay.
So
Nice.
it's like even though a week is a relatively short kind of period of time,
No.
with all due respect, it's like you still had time to discover what was there. And
Oh, yeah,
learn that there was other genres other than EDM, and that's how I kind of grew up in the scene here. All
Well,
these
yeah,
different
definitely
sounds.
Amsterdam. Yeah, those places, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. And during like that time in Amsterdam, it was during ADE.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
So
Okay.
everybody was playing when I was there. Martin Solveig, Intoxicated, that was like everywhere. Like I even went to this one club nearby. It's like in this plaza right nearby. It's right nearby where Vice is located at. I forget the exact name of the place, but there was like this jazz player who had a saxophone, and I was like playing like Martin Solveig Intoxicated while the DJ was playing
Oh,
Intoxicated.
okay.
It was like it's super duper cool, but it was like that's kind of like how popular that song was, at least in my eyes. But then I started to go out, started listening to different stuff, and slowly gather a collection and learn how to play from Biz, and then now I'm here. You know?
That's actually, yeah, you picked up pretty quick. I can tell you.
Yeah. Thanks. And I guess from that kind of perspective, I guess it might have taken other DJs longer. I guess, but I just kind of picked up on it and just started playing it because nobody else is playing it, and I feel that's what should be played more often. In that respect, and I would imagine you have the same upbringing to a degree, like because the teachers that were listening to the little PA show, little Ray show that you had in high school. They didn't really like it, but that's what you like because
Oh
that was
yeah.
kind of, that was on the up and up.
And yeah, and also me and my boy, we also had to. We were responsible for like if there is a school event, and there was a music program.
Mm-hmm.
We were curating the music program. You know, other students also had input, and you know we would play whatever they wanted to,
Gotcha.
but not the school. Like all the music program was curated by us.
Gotcha.
So we had people, you know, bring us Korn CDs and like Slipknot. And
Oh
like,
man, I was listening to that too.
yeah,
at
yeah,
one
yeah,
point.
stuff like that. So
Like
we
Limp
were like,
Bizkit.
yeah, Limp
Yeah,
Bizkit,
yeah.
and then we'll play like Prodigy and like mix it with Korn and stuff like
Oh.
that. Yeah, or like
Crazy,
you know
man.
hip hop, Cypress Hill,
Yeah.
and whatever. You know, not only electronic music, but like there will be a part of the program that will be just whatever I felt like, you know, for
Gotcha.
an hour.
That's cool.
Yeah. So it was fun, and then I was lucky because my uncle actually had a company for music for sound equipment. He was producing sound equipment,
Mm-hmm.
so I was around sound equipment from like first grade,
Okay.
and like his little workshop was like a block away from where I lived. So I would write my homework and just run across the street.
Oh, that's
and just-
rad.
yeah, and then just go hang out with him, like all day, like while all afternoon while he
Yeah.
was testing, like you know, amplifiers or like he will make even like DJ mixers or effects units,
Mm-hmm.
or and then speakers and all that. So I'll just hang out and
Gotcha, and
play
just, like,
around with
observe.
the little observe
Yeah.
and like you know knobs, you know turn off knobs and you know learn about like input output whatever.
Again, I would like to think it's kind of like being in. I used to work at a bike shop.
Okay.
I would imagine it's kind of like that vibe. You see stuff being disassembled, like a pair of headphones or a mixer or some subwoofers, you know, being kind of repaired
Yeah.
and putting new stuff in, taking.
Put together, yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's very cool.
yeah.
Did you was he like an influence just as well as you growing up and seeing all that and kind of
yeah,
like
yeah, definitely. He's the only person from my family apart from my cousin, his son, that I'm friends with on Facebook. I don't have any of my family, but he's like, I can have a conversation with him about anything, you know.
Yeah.
Just he didn't talk much, but you know, we can talk about sound
Yeah.
and sound systems like all day.
Gotcha. Now, did he teach you how to DJ, or did you?
No, he didn't. He actually he's a guitar player actually. Back in, he had a little band, but
Gotcha.
he listens to rock music.
Okay.
Yeah, so but he knows about DJing equipment. He right now they run a sound equipment and DJ equipment
Mhm.
rental with my cousin,
Gotcha.
so he can repair any Pioneer player or a mixer, you know, like in his sleep.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Now it's like when did you ever get the urge to like kind of like have a kind of like collection of records to become who the DJ who you are now? Like how did that come about? Like was it just like natural by people suggesting stuff through school and it was like, oh, I gotta listen to that, or was it like I heard this one artist that I thought was good, but I don't know, I don't remember the name, so it's like I gotta find that record or whatever.
Well, my records here, I started buying them when I came to the United States. Previously, like most of the stuff I had was downloaded from the internet
Gotcha.
over probably like I was downloading stuff on the modems,
Gotcha.
on the
Yeah.
internet
Yeah.
through your phone modem. So
Gotcha.
getting one MP3
It
was
was took a long time.
a whole day of
Yeah.
waiting. And just one MP3 song and getting somebody's DJ mix. It was about 16 megabytes.
That was a long.
That
That was a
was
big
a
file
whole
back then.
week.
Holy shit.
Yes, and you like so once you get that, then you know all the tracks in that DJ mix.
Yeah.
And then I'll go on Discogs and
Okay.
then just research the crap out
Of each track.
of each track, each artist, each label, and that's how I built in my mind like who is where. And then when I actually had the access to a record store, I would just go and browse and like, okay, I know this label, I know
Mhm.
this, or I know this artist.
Yeah.
And that's how I started buying
Gotcha.
my collection that I have now.
Man, I remember the days of like I remember going through moments. I remember the struggle as well. Like I remember having Net Zero at one point. If you guys remember Net Zero, it was kind of like in the days of AOL back in
Yeah,
the day,
yeah,
and it took forever, but it was like you needed the internet. I remember
Yeah.
LimeWire.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, just getting like crap off there. It could be
Yeah.
anything from music to movies. I'm sure you guys know just as well.
Yeah, no, I
Just like
know
what the Pirate
AOL.
Bay is now.
Oh yeah, yeah. I know AOL because the first time I came here, I lived in a host family for
Gotcha.
in high school for one school year. So the lady had AOL, and I know that sound and the little
Yeah,
running.
the little chime. Yeah.
So yeah, and actually her internet was a lot better than what I used to have back in Bulgaria.
Mhm.
So I downloaded a lot of music there from in her house back in Mississippi, and I downloaded a lot of music, and then we went back, and my friends were like, "I want to copy this. I want to copy this."
How for that time that you were there in Mississippi, like were you just collecting or like were you trying to like what was your kind of like it was for school, correct?
Yeah, yeah, in high
Okay.
school, yeah.
Gotcha. Now like going through high school in Mississippi, how was like the scene like? Could you connect with people? Like I never been to Mississippi or anything like that, so
No,
I would
it's
imagine it's a bit different from here. in Philly.
Actually, it was like in Mississippi. I bought my first what I call original CD, which wasn't a pirate copy.
Gotcha.
But to your point, like these guys and the girls there, they knew kind of about electronic music, but they were all into hip hop.
Gotcha.
So, but the dancers and the cheerleaders, they knew that I'm into techno, so I made them a few CDs that
The
they,
cheerleaders into techno? Wow.
they wanted because
In
it's a
Mississippi? Wow,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
awesome.
The dancers, especially not the dance crew, like whatever the dance band,
Mhm.
for the sporting
Yeah.
events. Yeah, I burned them like a few CDs that they can like have routines at.
Gotcha.
Like, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, that's
because
rad.
it's a dance music. So
Yeah,
they
it's
were
dance,
Like,
so
we
those are
want some
4x4 beat, and they-
and
yeah.
of course there's these hot girls that asking the foreign kid to burn them a CD. I was like, okay, all right, here you go, I'll do it. But yeah, so but yeah, everything like I've been to like a lot of those house parties out there. Like they
Mhm.
were throwing, and it was all hip hop.
Okay.
Basically, yeah.
Did you feel
So-
did you feel like did you feel at home listening to? I would imagine that you did, like listening to hip hop and hearing all these house parties play hip hop while you were kind of like, hey, I like techno, but I respect.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
And for me, it was like when I knew that I got the grasp of the English language
Mhm.
totally, when I can understand what they were singing.
Gotcha.
That's when it dawned on me. Okay, now I know what they're singing. Okay.
Yeah.
So this,
Yeah. I miss that era of rap. I mean, I would imagine I'm not too much into like the new school kind of stuff. Like the only like people who I listen to is kind of like ASAP Rocky, ASAP Mob, and stuff like kind of stuff from them. But I mean, I hark back to listening to Nas. He's my favorite rapper, Nas,
okay. Yeah.
and listening to him. Every once in a while. Now I don't really listen to hip hop all that much, but every once in a while I hark back to that. I think I was listening to Illmatic not too long ago and kind of like reminiscing about that time and how like him growing up in Queens was like kind of it was a struggle, yet it was like something to really kind of behold, because I wasn't I was born in '90. I was born in 1990, but like I don't remember anything from like early '90s, like until
Okay.
like until like I don't know, like '96. I remember like faint memories of like my childhood and shit like that. But like to listen to his lyrics, and it kind of takes me back to the era of what I think in my own interpretation what the '90s was, like growing up along the East Coast and like during these hard winters and
Yeah.
struggling to getting stuff done and like just kind of hustling,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of sort of,
Hustling. Yeah.
man. Uh, how did you get the name, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, DJ Maze? Was that how did that come about?
Okay. Yeah. That's a funny story. A little bit embarrassing though. So that's a type of rolling papers. The smoking, the smoking brand.
Gotcha.
They have the maize type, and it's a corn paper basically. And I thought that it's cool, so I picked that up, and then because I thought it's like a maze, if you
Yeah.
hear it, it's like a maze, but it's not maze.
Yeah, it's corn
Yeah,
essentially.
yeah, no,
I
but
gotcha.
like a maze of a labyrinth.
Gotcha.
That's what I
Gotcha.
was aiming to,
Gotcha.
but that didn't quite pan out as
Maybe
I was
maybe
planning.
well maybe it'd be like crop circles.
Maybe,
Maybe you could
yeah.
take maybe you could take to that degree.
But yeah, that's the origin. Yeah, smoking maze.
Now, you had I think I've heard you say is you have like there's a 4-person kind of like DJ group that you had, or something like that. That you were associated with. Correct me if I'm wrong. That you were like buddies with, and like you tried to like have like a musical like kind of like DJ kind of group. Am I wrong? Correct me if I'm wrong on that. I heard you say that somewhere.
Well, I guess you were talking about me and my buddy that we were just DJing,
Yeah.
like early,
Yeah.
early with him. He was actually here a couple weeks ago, visiting to the States. But
Yeah, I think I saw
yeah,
it on
yeah,
Facebook. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, it was just the two of us. But my cousin,
Mhm.
my uncle's son, he got into DJing around the same time that I did,
Mhm.
and then him being older than me, he went to college and actually he started DJing at events like hard techno events
Okay.
back around like 2000, 2001. So maybe
Okay.
that's where
Gotcha.
this comes from. Yeah, because I'm still part of his crew, but
Gotcha.
I'm
That
the
was what. Yeah.
US.
Yeah.
I'm the US connection.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
Yes. I'm the US connection there. And actually, yeah, I'm very, thankful to my cousin because, like, every time I go back, I get to play his events,
Mhm.
and he throws like him owning a rental company for sound systems. He throws like amazing parties.
Gotcha.
And so this coming like in a few months, I'll be headlining something. So
Mhm.
we'll see how this pans out. But
Now, growing up in Bulgaria, I'm not sure when you left, but if you were of the age to go out, do you remember kind of like the scene there?
oh
If there was a
yeah,
scene, or
yeah,
did you have to go out to
yes.
that? Explain that. Yeah,
So
I'm interested.
yeah, so being of the age back home when I was growing up was the age at which your parents will let you go out, because there was no drinking age, and if you were tall enough to pay your ticket to get in the
Mhm.
club, they will let you in. Didn't matter. You can be 13 and you'll be hanging out with,
Gotcha.
in the
Wow.
disco, in the club.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, and then so in my hometown, I was allowed to go out when I was about 15. Like go out to the clubs,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
the clubs there, they didn't play like techno or
Yeah.
house
Yeah.
music.
Yeah.
It was mostly pop and like
Gotcha.
whatever's on MTV, basically. So, but so we had to go like either me and my cousin will throw a party
Mhm.
like in some dark alley or
Yeah.
like in a little underground basement, or we had to go to a bigger like city and go to like an actual party.
Mhm.
And I was 16 when my parents let me go to what was back then the street parade, like like the Berlin Street Parade,
Yeah.
Love
So,
Parade.
the upper. Yeah. I
It
was gonna.
was
Yeah.
it was modeled after the Love Parade in Berlin, but in like the Sofia in the capital of Bulgaria. And I was 16 when I went there for first time for my 16th birthday, because that was July 1st back then, like.
Gotcha.
And funny fact. Josh Wink was the headliner here, the Philly very own,
Yep.
which
At Street
was
Parade back then.
yeah, that street parade back then. Yeah, that was headlined by
Mhm.
Josh Wink. So, but yeah, so there wasn't drinking age or any age. You can go out, and there was like in the bigger towns that I lived around,
Yep.
they will have like a DJ come like every once in a while. So we'll go to that.
Gotcha.
But yeah, it all depended on my mom.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it wasn't like you gotta be 21 or
Right.
something. It was like
It's funny how that works because, like, of course, here in the States, you have to be 21 to drink, and even 21 just to get in the club sometimes.
yeah,
But there are some exceptions, like some clubs around here
Yeah,
will let you
18,
through
yeah.
18. Yeah. But when I went to Berlin, I was like, man, you can get in at 16, and like you could drink at, I believe, at 16. I'm like, wow, this is kind of like, and you can drink on the street just as well.
Yeah.
You can have like your PBR
Yeah,
just
yeah.
or whatever, just drink on the cycle. That's bad.
yes,
But
yes.
I'm guessing they're a little bit more stringent there. At least that's what I kind of felt when I went over there, at least to Berlin.
Mhm.
And I wish for that, like maybe one day to kind of happen here in the States. I doubt that would ever happen. But then again, we're trying to get CBD passed and
Yeah, yeah,
among
that
countries.
doesn't happen. See, that's the difference. Like where I come from, you can go to jail for one joint.
Wow.
One joint. Yeah, because it's a zero tolerance.
Gotcha.
The law.
Yep.
Yeah, it's so yeah, but
Especially if you want to like trying to somehow get it on the plane, especially that. Yeah, I've heard like
no, yeah, no, on the street, the
Yeah,
cops,
yeah, yeah.
corrupted cops will stop you, search you, and will threaten to take you to jail for one joint.
now
You know.
going. How many did you? I know we were talking about Street Parade earlier and Love Parade.
Yeah.
Did you saw like the kind of the beginnings of that, or like how did you experience that?
Yeah,
in-
so actually, the Love Parade, I will watch it on. There was a German channel that I'll get on my cable TV called Viva Music,
okay,
and they will live stream the Love Parade.
where
Yeah, so from like 1998, 99, all those summers, I will, get to watch the Love Parade live on TV, and I was like, I want to do that. Like you see the DJs there live, and that was one of the first times I actually saw on the TV like how you do it with the turntables.
now?
Get an idea of what it is.
Did you see or do you know of DJ Steven?
Yes,
Yes.
yes. I know him, not very well, but he's like a acquaintance of mine.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and
I understand. Like you know of him.
yeah. No, like the last time I was back, I got to I went to his party in this club, and he's like, "Yo, I know you." So from Facebook. 'Cause
That's right.
Actually, he's a big friend of my cousin, so he
Gotcha.
knows me through
Good
that.
kind, gotcha,
Yes,
through that outlet.
yes. He's he went to the DJing competition back in 1992, and he's one of the founding fathers of the first Bulgarian, like a techno collective
Gotcha.
called Metropolis, and
Yeah.
they are still around, and they throw the biggest parties.
I
biggest
thought
events at home.
I literally have an article that I'm going to
Okay.
mention regarding that. I thought Metropolis was a club that they started.
No, it's an event series. It was an event series,
okay.
and then it became the name of the collective.
Gotcha.
So yeah, they were the first people here to bring like Carl Cox, Josh.
Yeah,
Wink
Carl
and-
Cox and Josh Wink.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So-
bring that sound
Yes.
across
yes.
the water. No, I'm going to read a little quote that I found from Pulse. The article is dubbed How the 90s Youth of Bulgaria Rave in the Wake of Communism. This is made in March 2016. And the quote is that I'm going to name, after the end of the Soviet period, everything hit us like a tsunami, says DJ Steven, the co-founder of one of the country's most influential promotion companies, Metropolis.
Yes.
Still renting dance floors in the Eastern Europe about 20 years later. People needed about 10 years to cope and digest all that information. He's talking about like how like kind of the end of communism, how that came down
Yes,
and kind of
yes.
restarting. And thus in 99 or 2000, they're ready and looking for something new, and that was electronic music. In 97, Berlin's Love Parade attracted about 1 million visitors, and Bulgaria was in the middle of a massive economic downturn and political stalemate. Bulgarians marched the streets in protest against the socialist government, which was blamed for the country's descent into chaos. Hyperinflation ran rampant, etc., etc., and they needed electronic music
Yeah.
or some kind of
Yes,
music to
yes.
kind of like
And that's when, like,
yeah.
exactly 97 is when they started throwing parties,
Mhm.
and that's when the internet was like just starting. So you can get.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
were a couple of websites, like posting boards that I can read from my
Forums. I was like, yeah, yeah.
forums. Like I can read in my little bedroom, like 200 miles away, and I'm
Mhm.
like, these guys are starting to make these parties with the music that I like to listen to,
Yeah.
and then actually, yeah, that street parade. The Metropolis were the organizers of that street parade, and with the trucks and the whole nine
The
yards.
whole
You see,
nine yards,
yes,
and they were
yes,
getting that sound from, um,
yeah,
some people from outside of the country, like from some people in Germany, were actually kind of
yeah, yeah,
like promoting what the sound was in Bulgaria and what
yeah,
the
yeah.
scene
Like the
was and
first
pumping it up.
DJs that they got were like Westbound, Dr. Mote,
Okay.
this girl called Marusha. Were the first DJs that I invited, like back in like 1998, 99,
Okay.
those years.
Now, throwing your own parties alongside of going out just as well when you were 16, like I imagine maybe organize that with your buddies and like was that tolerated at the time? Like, or was it kind of like you know, as long as you really kind of like compose yourselves and control the atmosphere, you're fine, kind of, sorta.
Yes, yes, yes. Like we had this like little club that we would bring like a bunch of my uncle's older speakers,
Gotcha. Okay.
and
So
yes,
that
yes,
blows up.
that was yeah, like getting access to a sound system that you can play somewhere was the big challenge, and like actual equipment to play music from, because my cousin and I we will bring Sony, those Sony 3 CD changer mini systems, mini that they sell in Walmart.
I'm too young for that. I'm
No.
too young for that. Oh, but like it probably
you
still
know,
sell
you
them
know,
at Walmart.
yeah,
Yeah, they
yeah.
do. Yeah,
If you
yeah,
go to
yeah.
Walmart, they
Yeah,
still
yeah.
have like those like two speakers and like a
Yeah.
little like a 3 CD changer and two
Yes.
tapes.
Now I know exactly what you're
So
talking
we'll
about.
take two of those, just
Yeah,
without
yeah, yeah.
without the
Those
speakers.
big units.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, those big units, and then hook them up to a mixer made by my uncle, and then some
Ah,
and
okay.
use that to DJ, which is
No, that worked.
well, it doesn't have any pitch control, and
Still,
there is no
yeah.
cue, so it's just playing pause and whatever,
Whatever. Yeah, that worked.
Yeah, just you pretend,
Yeah.
that's without pitch control. So yeah,
Regardless.
yeah.
But I think I remember had a system like that. Um, but I remember it had a system like that, with like two speakers and like, like two cassette decks
Yeah.
and a CD changer and like also radio just as well, AM and FM.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just using the bodies,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
the
yeah.
speakers.
Exactly,
Those were
because
the
you hooked that
players.
to the mixer. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Those were those are the players. Yeah,
But
those were the CDJ 2000s at the
hmm
time.
but did like was that tolerated? Like was like
Yes,
did
that
the
was
police not care if they were ever
well.
like presents like that?
No, no. Like we did a couple of open airs that were like sanctioned by the
Okay.
municipality, but mostly the parties were like in like official bars where they had music. So if they had a license, the police didn't care,
Mm-hmm.
and basically the police didn't care about mostly anything other than lining their pockets with like bribe
Okay.
money.
Gotcha.
So
Did you have to?
even if they showed up, like my cousin will pay them off or something like that.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But they didn't show up at all. Like whatever. It wasn't much of a like problem with
Gotcha.
the authorities
Right.
throwing parties.
That's good. That's good. And that was kind of like the same thing from when I hear when the wall went down. In Berlin, it was just like, it was like okay, we went through all this stuff, all this like political whatever, just like I guess oppression
Yes,
through all this
yes.
propaganda and whatever. And now when that all comes down,
It's freedom. It's like
Yeah.
it's like even more.
even
than
the cops
freedom.
didn't
Yeah.
really
the
care.
cops, yeah, they were more interested in enriching themselves being cops than
Yeah, yeah,
than
exactly.
caring like you're blasting techno at 3 in the morning.
Yeah, and I would imagine even from that perspective, having gone through all of that, it's like, you got to take a break in that regard, So it's like, why not?
Yes, yes. I'll just play something else.
Yeah, that's
And
fine.
Faki's done. Yeah, Mr. Carl Cox.
It's Chateau de Chambord.
Yes, yes.
Um, now, how did you end up in the States? Was it through school?
Yes, yes. I came here in Philly. As I told you, I came in first in 2001 as an exchange student, but I had to go back and actually graduate high school because you gotta get a
Yeah, gotta do
diploma.
that.
And then my parents, they kicked my ass and they made me actually apply to U.S. schools uh, after. So I ended up in Drexel in Philadelphia. So that's how I got here, and I was in computer science, and I went to IT. So that's kind of like my little story here. And
Gotcha.
actually, I like Philly a lot better than the suburbs or like, you know, where I used to live in Mississippi. So I was like, I like that town, so I'm gonna stick around here. And
Gotcha.
yeah, like
It's
so many years after, I'm still
right.
here.
It's kind of like the same thing for me. Like I still am out in the suburbs. Like, granted, it's not too far for a
Hmm.
drive. It's like about a 40 mile drive, give or take. But depending on traffic, could take
Oh yeah, yeah.
more
Today
or less
was
longer.
what traffic, right?
Not so much. It's more like when you first get into the city, like off exit 22.
Oh yeah.
That then
Yeah.
it's like you're suddenly in the city. That's like, oh, I gotta look to my left, to my right.
Okay.
Oh, the next light. Oh, there's a cyclist to my right. Okay, I gotta
Oh
slow
yeah, yeah,
down,
yeah.
brake,
Your
and then the
your
guy's
people,
coming.
yeah,
Yeah,
they don't get any love in Philly.
they don't. And so does so doesn't the PPA, and rightfully so, because they're like ninjas.
Oh
Like
yes,
every time I get a ticket, I'm like, where did you come from?
man, I've seen like see that corner. You know that corner right here.
Yeah.
I've seen like the PPA little tow truck just tow a car in like under 5 minutes. They just swoop
Boom,
in,
boom, boom.
get him, and they're out of here. And then you see the guy walk out, and he's like, "Where's my car?" And I'm like, "Dude, you're screwed, man. They were here like even before you blinked."
Dude, I saw this one photo on Facebook recently. There was this car that somehow got burned down
Oh yeah,
on
I heard about
South
that.
Street.
I heard about that.
And then PPA put a ticket on there. Like, dude, it's a burn car.
Well,
This guy probably has to get, pay out of his insurance, more or less. But you already give him a ticket, just like to kind of
well,
like already
yeah,
kick
yeah.
in his face
Well,
just that little bit more.
that's why Philadelphia is in parking wars.
Do you remember? You remember that show?
Yes,
You
yes,
remember
I
that
remember
show?
that show. I know, but they give my girlfriend like tickets for nothing, just trying to find parking around here.
Right.
So
When I used to live here about a year or so ago. It was about a time of like, I don't know, like a 10 to 12 month span. And when you live here in the city or whatever city, what have you, you kind of know where you're at. You have a feeling of where should I park at whatever time. And it's like, even if you get like a crummy parking spot, I don't know, maybe 4 blocks down, you wake up in the morning at like, I don't know, 8 o'clock or 7 o'clock and be parked. Because there's
yeah,
like nobody there.
yeah,
Okay, there's nobody there in that spot that's right next to my house. That's like only maybe 10 steps away. So it's like, maybe we
yeah.
park, turn on the car, repark it, and then, you do your thing. And that's all good.
Yeah.
But it's like that kind of familiar city vibe. But in the suburbs, it's like there's no PPA
No,
whatsoever.
yeah, no. It's
Very
like
relaxed.
yeah, where I work,
for the
it's
most
like
part, unless you make
it's like
parking in
50
bad neighborhoods.
cents. You pay 50 cents for parking the whole day. I'm like, okay, you guys are lucky.
Mhm.
And their tickets are like 10.
Yeah, but I used to always kind of like ride the bike in the city. That was my thing.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I would go like a week or so without even touching the car, and just using the bike like to go to the supermarket or just to run errands basically around town.
Well, you're talking
Even
to somebody
God.
who doesn't have a driver's license. So,
Gotcha.
yeah, I'm, all about walking around in public
Okay,
transportation.
but well, you reside here,
But I
and
know the struggles because they're real.
but you reside here, and can I say the location? I don't want to say the exact location, but you live in the city.
Yeah.
And from where we are right now, have you gotten used to, kind of like where you're at, and like have you seen like the kind of progression of like how the city is coming about?
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's changing a lot, especially, around here. They're doing a lot of renovations.
Gotcha.
And we just drove down Rich Street, and we were like with my friend like a couple hours ago, and I haven't driven down that path, and
Yeah.
I was like, that's a lot of new redevelopment.
Right. I'm seeing that too.
Yes, yes, it was like a new house, an old dilapidated laundromat, and then a new house right next to it, and a new house and a new house.
Right.
And I was like, it's gentrifying, and to be honest, I didn't really. I don't really like that, especially
Same.
because yeah, especially because gentrifying closed up one of my favorite record shops around here.
What was the name of that record shop? You remember?
Uh, yeah, just give me one
It's
second.
fine.
The Sound of Market.
The Sound of Market.
The Sound of
God
Market.
bless. Rest in
Yes,
peace.
yes, yes. I mean, like when they closed up, I did like a really good deal. I got like 120 records,
Boom.
for like $1 a piece. But
Right.
just the feeling of just going there and just spending 2 hours just browsing, crate digging,
Yeah.
and just coming back with like 12, 20, or whatever,
Now,
whichever.
yeah, whatever amount you can get
Yeah,
your hands on, that sounded good at the
yeah.
time. Did they have record players there that you kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
listen to and
yeah. They were
everything?
like these Greek people. I think that it was this Greek lady that, was always behind the counter. So they had some record player, not the greatest, but
Still, it's something to
still,
listen to.
yeah, just to get a feel, like a couple clicks. And,
Yeah.
okay, I want this one. No, I don't want that.
I don't have too many records. I only have like maybe max 5. Like it's not much at all. Cause like every time I go to a record store, it's like, okay, I see this album, I listen to it, and it's like that sounds great. And then I go back and go dig in again and be like, oh, there's another record. Okay, I go back and listen to it, and then I end up with like a little pile,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and like this is great. But then as I'm walking up to the counter to pay, I'm like, yo, I could just get all these same records, all these singles off like Beatport.
No, yeah.
So it's like, oh, should I pay for something that's physical or digital? And oftentimes, like all my stuff is digital. And is there the question I'm gonna have to ask you is like, is there still, in your opinion, like a feeling of like having that vinyl in your hand that makes it worth it when you play vinyl?
Yes, yes, exactly. That's what it is. Like, you know, I started getting music first. I told you from tapes and all that, but in MP3s. So for me,
Gotcha.
MP3s are like ephemeral. They're here one day and they disappear. I had so many MP3s downloaded back in the day illegally and all that,
Yeah.
whatever. But a vinyl record, just because I didn't have access to when I was a kid, to
Mhm.
me is like, the biggest thing I can get in the music is just getting the vinyl and then just having it in my hands and just, you know, playing that that particular record. Because yeah, you can write it down and just go buy
Mhm.
it off Discogs or whatever. But also like right now, just I miss the browsing. That's through the
I
crates.
I understand.
That feeling and just getting that pile and then just I go that's always my routine. I get like 20 or like 25 records
And I would imagine
and
like,
I weed them down to like 10.
yeah. And I would imagine like having that stack in your hand is rewarding not only because of the satisfaction that it gave you, but I would imagine that like if you were like if you frequent there, a lot of times I would imagine you would see like a little community, maybe, or like you see like some of the same people or like same faces going there every once in a while. And it's kind of like having like a community like center or like something like that, like some kind of like
Yeah, yeah.
family
Well,
oriented kind of
this
vibe
is
with the
what I
music.
think started to happen around the one store that it was very briefly around here, uh, up in Northern Liberties. I forgot the name of it. I still
Mm.
have the uh, like the promotional materials, and the guy had like all new records, like new house music and techno.
Mm.
So, but then he went all digital. Like he went all on Discogs and just
Gotcha.
closed up the shop and it hurts when something that you can walk it right into, and then it's just like a website where you
Mm-hmm.
can just click
Right.
whatever
And
that kind of.
what are you listening to now as far as music?
Well, right now, well, more techno than before because hanging out with the Full Theory crew
Mm-hmm.
recently just reignited my love and passion for
Gotcha.
like actual techno music, and not that much of how I still have
Yeah,
I
I
play
understand.
house.
Yeah.
You know me, like if the person before me plays house music, I will pick that up and play house music. But if I enjoy more techno because it's more technically uh, for inviting you to mix it
Mm-hmm.
more technically,
Okay.
if I can put it in those words, because with house music, you have to let it sing its own song there,
Yeah.
melody.
Like it has like its own kind of
Yes,
soul.
yes,
It's like you
yes. You
don't
gotta
want to
let
like
it
cut
play
it.
out. Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
don't like you
And
can't. Well, as much as I sometimes do scratch house, it's like you want to let the
it
lyrics just roll and
yes,
just let
exactly. Yeah, yeah,
let them
exactly.
go.
Yeah, yeah. You have to let it sing its own song. Something that my cousin always said. You gotta let it sing its own song, and then you mix it in. But techno it just lends itself to more technical mixing.
Right.
Just getting in there and scratching. Not that much scratching, but
Right.
effects and all that. Cute
Now,
stuff, the Bulgarian backspin. That somebody might have heard me overdo it at some parties.
I remember DJ Biz, like his thing, like I feel like every once in a while you meet a DJ who's like who uses something a little bit too much, but that's like his thing. You know what I mean?
No, I
But
confess that's my thing. Like sometimes
for
I'll catch myself and it's like I gotta stop doing that, man. It's
but
just too
that's
much.
what makes you. That's what makes you. That's I think that's awesome. I remember DJ Biz, like his thing was like the alarm that like
Oh
the
yeah,
air
yeah,
horn.
yeah,
Like
yep,
he would
yep.
blast that shit on like on top of everything. It would sound good when he would do it, but it's like
Yes,
he knows that it's like yo, I'm
yeah,
pushing it a little bit too much, but I love it.
yeah. That's why like these guys they're like the Bulgarian backspin. No, man, it's just a backspin. But
Yeah.
I overdo it sometimes just because of that guy right here playing on the TV, Carl Cox.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah, he was I told you that first original CD that I ever bought
Yes.
was a Carl Cox live at Crowbar Chicago, which was a live recording of his
Yep.
set in some club in Chicago, and so that was a 3 deck mix, and I was blown away. And he did those spin backs, those cuts,
Yeah.
those quick mixes, and that is what I was like. I want to do it like this guy does it. You know?
I saw him live so far for my first and only time at uh Echo Stage in DC.
Okay.
And it's like at least from the one and only time I've heard him play live, it's like you gotta buckle up. It's like you gotta
It
just take your time with however you're gonna party, because this
this
guy is
guy's
gonna
in
keep
for a ride.
you're in for a ride, whether you want to or not. So it's just like those first. Don't push yourself as much as you want to go hard on the floor,
Yeah, if
because
you
he's just gonna keep on
yeah,
going.
he will
Like,
keep on going.
don't let the first 30 minutes trick you. He's got like 2 hours and whatever else more to give you
I
as far
think
as
I
sound.
think in the United States when I heard him play in the United States, the thing was just how late the venue is gonna stay open because that guy
Right.
can go
Forever
till the
with that guy.
freaking sun comes up and then more.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big like impression. That mixing his mixing technique left a big impression on me, and I was like, I want to be as technical as those people were
Mhm.
because. As you might have known, he's the first actually DJ in the house and the techno scene that put 3 turntables together.
Yep.
And
3 deck.
yeah, 3 deck, and so kind of the Godfather, and you want to be like the best there, and
Mhm.
he's probably one of the top DJs out there, and yeah,
No.
so that's when I picked up that little backspin that everybody is
Gotcha.
like,
Gotcha.
messing me around, but
Now, we don't have. I think we don't have too many, like after-hour spots here in Philadelphia. Um, I'm kind of missing that. Now, granted, we do have like the Lavin parties,
yes, yes,
and like if you know
that's
nobody, there's an after party. But most stuff around here closes at like 2. In
yes,
Delaware,
unfortunately,
yeah, it's in Delaware. It's more like 1. So
even 1 o'clock. Oh
sometimes, yeah.
wow.
So
Wow.
like, I'm I'm hoping I'm hoping to see more and more after hour stuff, but it's like I feel like the business owners are kind of like pushing that away, kind of sort of for whatever reason.
Probably just the authorities.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I come from a experience where at 2 o'clock is where you go to the club.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And sometimes I'm like,
yeah,
I'm so tired from work. From sometimes it's like, dude, I just want to take a quick nap
yeah. You
and just
go
like
go
go
take a
out
quick
at
nap and
12.
then go out at 12, 1 o'clock. Yeah, and because like when I was growing up, going to the club before 1, it was dead. Like
Yeah.
there's nobody.
Yeah.
All the just the young boys and like whatever, and they whoever had to go home early, those were the people out there. And the headliner gets at like 3, 4, and they
Yeah.
play till like 7 or 8 o'clock,
Yeah.
and that's it.
I'm not. I'm used to like the headliner being like around like 12. At least from the parties I've been going to lately, because like it starts I guess whatever the headliners around 12, but then like by the time like 4 o'clock goes around, there's his or her set may have ended, but then I'm starting to fall asleep
Yeah.
at like 4 or 5 a.m. I'll tell you what, at this one Lavin party. No, I'm sorry, it wasn't Lavin. It was Subsurface.
Hmm.
Is when they had Anthony.
Parasol,
Yes,
something like that. Yeah.
yes. I went there, and did you go there just?
No, no, no. I
Okay,
just know the guy,
gotcha.
and
Yes, but he was resident DJ at Berghain, I guess, for a little while.
mhm.
And I was like, oh man, Berghain. Maybe one day I get there, and I did get there, kinda. I didn't really actually get in for whatever reason.
Sven stood on the way.
Yeah, because I thought, okay, so at Berghain, I thought that okay, so I was in line.
Yeah, yeah.
It was like I guess like 12 o'clock. 12 o'clock at night. It was
Early,
midnight.
like Friday or something. Early.
I think it was Saturday because my
Okay,
plane
okay,
left I
okay.
think on Sunday.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I'll get there early because it was cold as shit. It was in January. Because like, okay,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I
that's
get there early, get in front of line. I don't want to be there late because if I'm going there late, I don't want to wait 2 hours for them to say no.
Yeah, yeah,
Because it was
yeah,
like, oh my
exactly.
god, I
Yeah.
don't want to bear this for a wrong answer. So I was like, I get there early. So I got there early, and I guess like whatever had all black on. Like I'm not sure what kind of like I'm not sure what the bouncer really designates for someone to get in or not. But I was like, okay, I'll just like wear whatever like black stuff that I have, make it kind of like techno related, but still kind of like somehow break the code. Like I wore a trench coat,
Yeah, yeah.
and then
It's
I was
cold. It's
yeah, and I was going like further and further up the line, and there was this woman in front of me, and I'm guessing when I finally got to the front of the line um, that I think I saw Sven there, and he has like two little like bodyguards and shit like that. He's all OG'd up. It's like okay, this is official. And then when I get to the front of the line, I get to the front of the line with the woman in front of me, and the woman in front of me gets in, and I don't know her.
yeah.
And I'm guessing in my mind that Sven thought I was
With
with her,
Yeah.
but I wasn't with her. And I stopped right in front of him, and I
yeah.
look up just for a second. He was
He's
like,
no.
"Nope." And then I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah,
But I was
yeah.
like,
Almost.
I was like kind of like relieved at the same time because I was like, "Oh man, I got denied from Berghain. I'm such a boss. This is so boss."
Yeah.
But in the cold, so I was like immediately right after I got rejected. I was like, "Yes!" I screamed really loud, like this is great. I went to Germany for a week, and then I got my debit card missing and like all this other shit. And they was like, "I didn't get into Berghain." I was like, "Yes!" This is so like a life goal. But anyway, going back to Anthony Parcol.
Yeah.
Um, I was at the party. I was at Subsurfers, and I ended up falling asleep
At the party.
at the party in the chair. And I was like, how the I'm like, when I woke up, I was like, where the fuck am I? Well, this is my music playing and shit like that. And it was
Nice.
like,
I fell asleep at my that street parade party in the hall because after
Oh, word.
the street parade
Yeah.
we were in the hall like
Mhm.
in the sports hall, and the party went till like 7 a.m. But me and my boy I was sleeping for like an hour,
Mhm.
just a disco nap.
Yeah.
But inside of the freaking concert hall,
Yeah.
it's like technoplasting up. I was like, so I got up like an hour later, and then it was somebody else playing, so we just kept on
Mhm.
partying. Yeah, so
dude, that's rad. But it's like going back to gotcha. Um, that's fine. But anyway, I'm going to and seeing that for and experiencing that was kind of like something you don't really see all that too often. Just to let you know, guys. Colin's in the bathroom, but he'll be back real quick. So I'm just going to throw in some filler. But having that kind of experience there is kind of like something you don't really see all too often and or hear all too often. I'm glad that Philadelphia is promoting that amongst the kind of like I guess scrutiny from authorities and just like kind of law in general. It's like I'm glad that still that scene kind of exists. That after hours kind of scene still exists, and also having um kind of like these I don't want to say illegal parties, but these like secret parties that you may or may not know about through word of mouth. That's ongoing here in Philadelphia as well. I would imagine in New York. just as well because New York has up and coming, party scene, techno scene. That's growing in culture and growing and gaining steam, as we know it. Because Lee Fanke was there just on Monday on the Battleship, and he was discussing after his set with the host, how there's a scene coming up through the new place, Basement, and also with Output shutting down, and how the Brooklyn Mirage is still around, and how that scene is like slowly gaining steam, in especially in Brooklyn. Brooklyn was, um, it's definitely changed as far as how the kind of scene was, as because nobody wanted to really go to Brooklyn, back there, but now that's slowly that's a thing now. Like people are willing to pay this astronomical rent just to hear and experience what artists have to offer.
Yeah, that's kind of, I don't know about Brooklyn.
Yeah, I don't know about Brooklyn
Yeah.
either.
It's
Now
too much.
it is a bit too much. It is a little too much.
Yeah,
But I
New
wonder.
York is a little bit too much for me.
Like the only time I went to Brooklyn was when I was going over the Brooklyn Bridge into the Williamsburg Bridge,
Yeah.
and riding my bike over and just kind of, I think, what did I do? I think I went over to Williamsburg Bridge to get to Coney Island. Like I just went through and breezed through Brooklyn for like a brief period of time. But like what I'm hearing now is like most people, instead of like going out weekend out, they like they gather up quite a bit of money and just go to like big places like Mirage and like spend $300 in like one night. I heard that. I'm hearing through like RA that's kind of the thing now.
Okay.
Like
Well,
instead of going out night to night, it's like okay.
still haven't been there, so
Yeah, I
looks
still
cool.
I still haven't been there
It
either.
looks cool. Maybe, I don't know.
Now going back to Josh Wink, we saw Josh Wink earlier at Warehouse on Watts.
Yes, we did.
Yeah, that was it for Wink Down.
Yes, yes.
His little birthday bash. And I remember towards the end of his kick-ass set, I think you requested a song.
No, I didn't. He said to stay there. He told me to, because I was leaving,
Yeah.
and we kind of like, I've talked to him before, and he kind of knows me that I'm the guy from Bulgaria that went to his party, and so I was like waving bye to him, and he's like, "You have to stay for this track," and so I stayed till the end,
Mm.
and I think it was a "Don't Laugh" remix. No, he played "Higher State of Consciousness."
Yeah.
That was the last track.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was, you know, bringing back a lot of memories because when it came out back in what 1995,
Mm.
96.
Back when he had dreads.
Yeah, back when he had dreads. Actually, when I saw him play in 2000, he still had the dreads on, and it was, that was like that weird guy. Everybody's like that guy. Yeah, but yeah, Higher State of Consciousness still to this day gives me goosebumps because that was the biggest record. Even like my mom knew it, so she can recognize that track because I played it so many times, and she got sick of it.
Now, as I'm learning more and more, as I meet more people in the city, they always have tattoos. Do you happen to have any tattoos?
No, I don't.
Okay, I don't have any either.
No, I
So,
don't.
with tattoos, as cool as they are, it's like, I want to share like my passion for them with somebody. It's like, why did you go this? Why did you have somebody draw this on your forearm or calf or whatever? It's like I kind of want to share that with somebody. I don't just want this to be like a. I just don't want this to be like a picture on like my arm. I want this to actually mean something to some.
Yeah.
And like I want to share that with somebody.
No, yeah, I don't have. I have surgical scars playing soccer and getting injured, but no.
Yeah, I got some too. Like I've been like at the skate park or
Oh,
wherever,
yeah,
like
you
riding my
rode-
bike.
Oh,
Every once in a while. I think I like some on my knee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But I've always had a good time with that. No, we don't have really. Well, it's coming as a passion for football. Here in the States with the Philadelphia Union and everything
Oh,
else.
yeah,
I
yeah.
would imagine
Hey.
you are a football fan yourself.
Oh yeah. I'm a big soccer fan.
Gotcha.
That's that's the sport.
What team are you rooting for?
Well, in Philly, I'm rooting for the Union. Their game starts in a few minutes.
Gotcha.
It's actually the derby. They play Red Bull, New
Okay.
York Red Bulls.
Okay, gotcha.
So yeah. But yeah, I'm usually I like Barcelona from Europe, and
Okay.
I also like a team from my country, CSK Sofia.
Boom, represent.
I'm representing right now.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I don't have one team. Like I have many teams. You know.
But dude, it's like football here in the states as far as the football. Well, it's
I
like
call it
American
soccer.
football,
Oh, American
American
football.
football, like here in the states as
Oh,
far as
yeah, yeah.
football is over there.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're that like
I think it's
rabid
even
for it.
bigger. I think it's even bigger because
Yeah.
here you have some people that also like basketball and also like baseball.
Yeah.
Back home is soccer.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Like
Yeah.
that's it. Like you watch the volleyball teams and all that, but you don't follow like the volleyball championship.
hmm
Soccer. Like, yeah.
Now, I'm gonna go back to Prodigy a little bit. Um, now you did a Prodigy set um at the Barbary. Like
Just a little.
yeah, it's a little bit. Okay, I wasn't there for it, but was that I would imagine they were just as much as influence on you as um everybody else that you looked to at the time. So
Yeah.
it was like what kind of like I know because of course the lead singer
Yes,
Prodigy
yes.
passed away not too long ago.
Unfortunately, risk his
Fortunately,
speed.
yeah. So
Risk
it
his
was
soul.
so it was like you could have played anything that night, and it's and it felt meaningful. It's like for you to play it, so it was like I'm trying to derive a question for you out of Prodigy. So it was like what made you? Okay, I'll say this: what made you play the track that you did from Prodigy, whatever
Well,
that was?
I played Firestarter, and that's the I think first track that actually Keith sang on
Mm-hmm.
back as because he was a dancer when he
Okay.
started with Prodigy. Yeah, Liam did the
Yeah,
music.
yeah.
Liam did the music, and he still does. And but I was a big fan of Prodigy. Like that was the first big band that I heard. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I got hooked on. And like they were not a big influence. They were like the biggest influence that in electronic music that I had growing up. And just I when I heard about his passing, I was devastated.
Mm-hmm.
And like it was like your Santa Claus is no longer around.
Right.
Like Santa Claus doesn't exist or something like that for kids. And I felt like you have to pay a tribute to the person, to the group, and the person that actually opened your mind to like that kind of scene and that music. And of course, Firestarter, he's crazy there.
Yeah, that's like what they're known for. I
Yeah,
got
yeah.
Firestar just as well, but as far as as legendary as Prodigy was, that's not who I'm like kind of listening to now. And,
Well,
because
no,
I have
yeah,
I'm listening to Kink.
Kink.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
Kink.
he's that Bulgarian cat that I'm
He's
listening to
yeah, man,
now.
he's so good.
And he's just like he's doing his like whole live set kind of thing, and I admire that just as well because I feel it's like kind of pushing the genre.
Yeah,
You
and
know,
just
it's
coming up
playing.
with like the craziest, like on the fly. Like he just posted yesterday that he was like his sound checks. He
Yeah,
always
yeah,
posts his sound checks like, and it's just like 2 minutes of him just banging out this melody and like this whole like build up,
yeah.
and then like at the end he's like just samples of, like him scratching,
Mm-hmm.
like it's like everything
Right. I feel like it's.
together.
I feel like sometimes like his sound check is like that should be the concert.
Well,
That should be what you
and then
paid the
the
ticket for.
concert is like yeah, and then the concert is like 1,000 times even more better than what it is, and
Because it's
yeah.
like very it's very sporadic. It's like what else having CDJs and whatever else we can kind of like
No,
interpret the
he's
sound like very like instantaneously, kind of sorta, and kind of like feel our way through the rhythm and kind of
oh yeah,
like
he's
you know?
like timing is impeccable.
Yeah.
That. And actually, right, like a couple of months ago, I discovered this girl from Italy,
Okay.
Georgia Newley
Okay.
is her name.
I find out on
She's like,
Instagram.
yeah, you need to find her and watch and listen to what she does. Because she's like, for me, it's like the female version of King. Like
Right.
apparently she's a classically trained violinist, I think,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, she does something like that. Her live show, it's a live show like
Word.
that. And yeah, she's pretty amazing too. Like and very very technical. She even has this little trick where she has a doll that is also a MIDI controller. So she
Oh,
controls.
word.
So it's like a little frog thing, and she's like, opening the
Yeah.
mouth of the frog, and that controls, the frequencies. It's like a low pass, high pass filter or something
Yeah.
like that. And it's like really like funny, and at the same time very like creative way of using an everyday object like some puppet
Yeah.
just to control music.
Gotcha.
Which
That's very cool. I gotta check her out because that kind of reminds me. I know she's from Italy and King's from Bulgaria, but King has this thing like where he has like some kind of like finger thing on his like hand, and he used that as
oh
like a
yeah, to make
clap.
that clap, yeah. Yeah, it's just some kind of a MIDI controller. I don't know, but
Yeah,
yeah,
whatever that is. But I
yeah.
tell you what, that's pushing the sound just as much. But for having people like you, just play on CDJs, play on records, play whatever, and for you having a passion for that's still going to be the thing for
Yeah,
forever
yeah.
for years to
Like
come.
I cannot do what he does. You have to be king to do like that. But my goal was to be able to play on 3 decks. That was where I was aiming when I started with this.
Gotcha.
And like I wanted to be like this guy, like what he used to do, like 3 decks. And you know,
Well, I tell you what, even on 3 decks, you still got me. You still got me like looking out at you, like, man, I wish I could do. I at least us play as good as he does. And in my eyes, like you could play on 10
thanks.
and be just as good to a degree.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, you can, but growing up when you see like the people with the turntables, and then you
Yeah.
see somebody with three, and then it's like your jaw drops, like wow, like oh my god, like how did it do that?
Well,
Yeah, nowadays everything is you got 4 decks and the controllers and everything, but just 3 decks on vinyl. That was
it's still cool.
the holy grail.
Yeah, I tell you what though, looking
Yeah.
at going back to like Jeff Mills' Exhibitionist, he was doing like 4 deck vinyl. You don't see that. You never. That's like
No,
that's literally an exhibitionist kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's
And that takes a certain
that was
amount of
his
skill
thing.
level, man.
Like, yeah, you have yeah the skill. Yeah, that's what I think is lost a little bit
Yeah.
nowadays. The skill, because
Well-
you needed to have the skill set back in the day.
And that's
To-
how you knew. That's how
Yeah,
like because
that's
that was
how
there
you get
wasn't
it.
yeah
Like you don't become a DJ if you don't have the skill.
right.
That was it. Like you
There
needed
wasn't
the
anything.
skill.
There was no sync button. You know what I mean? There was
You
no hot cue,
No,
whatever.
no,
You know.
Yeah, it was a skill. Like
Yeah.
you needed to have the skill. It didn't matter like if you had a logo or
Yeah, or
fancy-
like
fancy
some
sound,
yeah, or like a
Instagram
fancy kind of hat
page.
to go over your head, like Dead Mouse
Yes,
or whatever.
yes. You needed to have
Didn't
the
matter. You
skill.
gotta
so
have skill.
yeah.
I would imagine like for you growing up in that era in Bulgaria, that's how like you
Yeah.
slowly like saw those guys like who
And
who
then
you looked
realize
up
what
to.
they do. That was
Yeah.
the first like, how do they do that? And you read a little bit, and like some people tell you, and they're like, okay, all right. Well, that's not exactly what you do with the tapes, but then you start imagining how you might do it.
But I'll tell you what, you realize just as much as I do, those guys who have skill and the guys who are trying to get that same skill. It's a progression kind of thing, and you definitely progressed in the scene, and are still just playing around with records, and so am I, at least with CDJs and their controllers, and I definitely appreciate what you're doing for the scene here in Philadelphia, and basically wherever you are, and just kind of pushing who you are, and taking your time to kind of build up that passion, and playing out for us here in the scene.
Man,
I'm thinking
always.
I'm gonna wrap this podcast up, unless you have anything else to say or any kind of promotions, just as well, whatever.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm humbled to have, this time and to share some of my thoughts and like experiences, and shout out to my cousin and my people back in Bulgaria, DJ Versus, my buddy Jordan, and
What's up,
of course everybody in Philly. You know who you are. Thank you, man.
Yeah, thank you. I think we'll end it off there. This is episode 6 of the Xclude podcast. My name is DJ Xclude. I have Kalin here on my right, and I think we're going to be signing off. Again, thank you, Kalin, for being here. I think we're just going to like play with this like little filter and tone it down a little bit.
Devilfish, Planet Earth.
Country? Which country are you coming from?
Oh, we're from Sweden, Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh, I thought you meant which planet.
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
something like that. You're playing in Bulgaria for second time. Do you like the party people and the party atmosphere?
They are fucking crazy.
It's the greatest parties.
Oh,
I
really?
think Bulgaria right now is one of Europe's best party places.
Really?
Get your ass over here if you're not here.
And if you're here, party on.
Party on, man.
Здравейте хора, днес вече ще бъдем заедно Street Parade София 2001, а вие сте с Поко.
Да, сега ще се слееме с положителната енергия на тези супер шарени хора и ще си скараме най-яко на най-якото парти на тази година Street Парада.
Освен това останете с нас, защото ще видите супер маняшките клипове на Маруша, Арман Ван Хелден и още някои други супер маняшки изпълнители.